everyone. Welcome back to Simple English Talks. I'm so happy you're here with us today.
Hey there! Great to see you all again. You know, I was just thinking about something that happened to me this morning. I was at the coffee shop and the barista forgot my order, and I had to figure out how to tell her without sounding rude.
Oh, that's such a common situation. What did you say to her?
Well, I said, "Excuse me, I think I might have ordered a latte, not a cappuccino." See how I softened that? I didn't just say, "You got my order wrong."
That's perfect. And that's exactly what we're talking about today, how to sound friendly in English by using softening words. By the end of this episode, you'll know how to say things in a way that sounds kind and polite, even when you're correcting someone or disagreeing.
This is such an important skill, because it's not just about the words you use, it's about how you make people feel when you talk to them, and softening words make all the difference.
Here's a question for you before we dive in. Have you ever worried that you sounded rude in English when you didn't mean to? Maybe you were trying to be direct, but it came out wrong. Tell us about it in the comments.
Yes, share your experiences with us. We've all been there. And don't forget to like this video and subscribe to Simple English Talks, so you never miss an episode.
All right, let's get into it. Where should we start?
Let's start with the basic concept. What are softening words, and why do native speakers use them so much?
Okay, so here's the foundational idea. In English, being too direct can sometimes sound rude or aggressive, even if you don't mean it that way. Softening words are little words and phrases we add to make our sentences sound gentler, friendlier, and more polite.
The basic structure is simple. You take your direct sentence, and you add a softening word or phrase. For example, instead of saying, "Give me the salt," you say, "Could you pass me the salt?" Or instead of, "That's wrong," you say, "I'm not sure that's quite right."
Let me give you some concrete examples of the most common softening words. We have words like just, a bit, a little, quite, rather, maybe, perhaps, and phrases like I think, I feel, it seems like, and I'm not sure if.
Let me show you how these work. Direct sentence, "You're late." Softened version, "You're a bit late." Direct, "That's expensive." Softened, "That's a little expensive." See how a bit and a little take the sharp edge off.
Haha. Oh, I use these all the time without even thinking. Yesterday my friend asked me if I liked her new haircut. I didn't love it, but instead of saying I don't like it, I said, "It's not really my style, but it looks nice on you. So much kinder."
That's a perfect personal example. You used "not really" and added something positive at the end. That's advanced softening right there.
Here's another everyday example. If someone asks you for help and you're busy, instead of saying no, you can say, "I'm a bit busy right now. Maybe later?" The "a bit" and maybe completely change the feeling.
Now let's practice together. I'll say a direct sentence, and you try to soften it. Ready? "Your cooking is too salty."
I'd say, "This is a little salty for my taste, but the flavor is really good. You're honest but kind."
You talk too fast.
I'd say, "Would you mind speaking a little slower? I want to make sure I catch everything you're saying." Turning it into a request makes it so much more polite.
Now, listeners, your turn. How would you soften this sentence? "This room is messy." Say it out loud right now. What softening words can you add?
You could say, "This room is a bit messy," or "This room could use a little tidying up." Much gentler. Now let's talk about negative forms. You can also soften by using negative questions. Instead of "Give me a pen," you say, "You wouldn't happen to have a pen, would you?"
Can you try that? Think of something you need right now and ask for it using a negative question. You wouldn't happen to have a charger, would you? It sounds so much more polite than "give me a charger."
So to summarize this first section, softening words are little words like just, a bit, a little, maybe, and I think. They make your sentences sound gentler and friendlier. Use them whenever you're correcting, disagreeing, or making requests.
Now let's build on this foundation. There are some softening phrases that do more than just soften. They actually change the whole feeling of a conversation. Let's talk about those.
Oh, this is where it gets really useful. So we've talked about adding single words like a bit and just. But there are whole phrases that native speakers use to sound friendly and diplomatic.
Exactly. Let me introduce some of these phrases. We have things like, I was wondering if, would it be possible to, I hate to bother you but, and I'm afraid that.
I use I was wondering if all the time. For example, instead of saying lend me your book, I say, I was wondering if I could borrow your book. It's so much softer. You're not demanding anything. You're just wondering.
Let's do a dialogue demonstration. I'll be someone who needs a favor, and you show me how to ask using these phrases.
Okay, go for it.
I need you to work late tonight.
Ooh, that's very direct. How about, I was wondering if you might be able to work a little late tonight. No pressure, just asking.
Wow, what a difference. The phrase no pressure at the end is another great softening technique. You're telling the person they can say no.
Let's compare formal and informal situations. With a friend, you might say, hey, can you help me move this? That's casual but still soft because of the can you. In a formal situation, you'd say, I was wondering if you might be able to assist me with this.
Same request, completely different level of softness. And that's important to know. You don't want to sound overly formal with friends, and you don't want to sound too casual at work.
Here's a quick practice activity. I'll give you a direct statement, and you choose the best softening phrase for a work situation. Direct. Send me the report.
For work, I'd say, would it be possible to send me the report when you have a moment? Using when you have a moment is another great softener. It shows you respect their time.
Perfect. Now some specific tips. First, use I'm afraid to deliver bad news. I'm afraid the meeting has been canceled sounds much gentler than the meeting is canceled. Second, use I'm not sure to disagree politely. I'm not sure I agree with that, instead of I disagree. Third, use just to make requests smaller. Can I just ask you a quick question?
Those are excellent tips. And please, write in the comments. Give us 3 direct sentences from your daily life, and then write the softened version. For example, close the window becomes would you mind closing the window? Practice makes perfect.
Yes, we want to see your examples. Let's review this section. Softening phrases like, I was wondering if, would it be possible, and I'm afraid that help you sound diplomatic and kind. Match your level of softness to the situation.
All right, we've covered 2 big areas. Now let's go even further. There's a special category of softening that's all about sharing opinions and giving feedback. This is where a lot of learners struggle.
This is so important. Giving your opinion or feedback can feel scary because you don't want to offend anyone, but softening words can help you be honest without being harsh.
Let's talk about practical, everyday scenarios. Imagine you're in a meeting and you think someone's idea won't work. You can't just say that's a bad idea. So what do you say?
I'd say something like, that's an interesting idea. I'm just wondering how it would work in practice. Or, I see what you're saying, but I'm not sure it would work. You're disagreeing, but you're doing it respectfully.
Those are perfect. You used interesting, I'm just wondering, and I'm not sure. All of those are softening words that make your disagreement feel collaborative rather than confrontational.
Here's another common situation. A friend asks you what you think of their new shirt, and you don't like it. Oh, this is tricky. I usually say something like, it's not really my style, but the color is nice. Or, it's interesting. Have you tried it with different pants?
Interesting is such a useful word for softening. It can mean almost anything. When a native speaker says that's interesting, they might mean they don't like it, but they're being polite.
Let's talk about tone and delivery. The words matter, but how you say them matters just as much. If you say that's interesting with a warm smile, it sounds polite. If you say it with a flat voice, it might sound sarcastic.
That's such a good point. Let's practice tone. Listeners, say this sentence with me. That's an interesting idea. First, say it like you genuinely mean it. Now say it like you're being sarcastic. Hear the difference? Your tone changes everything.
Here's a real-life practice situation. Your coworker gives a presentation, and there are some mistakes in the data. You need to tell them. What do you say?
I'd say, your presentation was really clear. I just noticed a couple of numbers that might need a quick check. Want to look at them together? You started with a compliment, used just and might, and offered to help. That's expert-level softening.
Now, listeners, let's do a mini practice. I'm going to give you a direct criticism, and you respond out loud with a softened version. Ready? Your writing is full of errors.
I'd say, your writing has some really strong points. There are just a few areas that could use a little polishing. Want me to point them out?
That's not how you do it.
I'd say, I think there might be an easier way to do that. Would you like me to show you?
Now create your own. Think of a time you had to give difficult feedback. How could you have softened it using what we learned today? Speak your new version out loud right now.
Yes. Out loud practice is everything. Your mouth needs to get comfortable with these phrases so they come out naturally when you need them.
So to review, when giving opinions or feedback, use phrases like, "That's interesting," "I'm just wondering," "I'm not sure," and "I think." Start with something positive, use softeners, and offer help. You can be honest and kind at the same time.
Okay, now let's talk about something everyone experiences: mistakes. Even native speakers sometimes forget to soften and come across as rude.
Oh, I've definitely done this. One time I was really tired, and I just said to my friend, "That's the worst idea I've ever heard." Her face fell. I felt terrible. I should have said, "I'm not sure that would work. Let's think of other options."
We've all been there. So let's break down the common mistakes with softening words. The first mistake is being too direct in situations that need softness. For example, telling a waiter, "This food is cold." Instead, you could say, "I'm sorry, but this seems a little cold. Could you heat it up, please?"
Why is the direct version a problem? Because it sounds like an accusation. You're stating the problem as a fact with no softening. The waiter might feel attacked. The softened version with "I'm sorry" and a little turns it into a polite request.
The second mistake is over-softening. Some learners add so many softeners that their message gets lost. For example, "I was just kind of wondering if maybe you might possibly be able to help me." That's too much.
Better alternative? "I was wondering if you could help me." Or even just, "Could you help me with something?" You don't need 5 softeners. 1 or 2 is usually enough.
The third mistake is using the wrong softener for the relationship. With your best friend, saying, "I was wondering if it might be possible to borrow your pen" sounds ridiculous. Just say, "Hey, can I grab your pen?"
Haha, that's so true. My brother would laugh at me if I talked to him like he was my boss. With close friends and family, you can be more direct. The softeners are for people you don't know well or for formal situations.
Let's practice catching these mistakes. I'll say a sentence, and you tell me what's wrong. "I was wondering if it might perhaps be possible to maybe get a glass of water."
Way too many softeners. Just say, "Could I have a glass of water, please?" Clean and polite. The please at the end does a lot of softening work on its own.
Here's another one. "You're wrong about that."
Ouch! That's way too direct for most situations. Better to say, "I'm not sure that's right," or "I see it differently," or "I think there might be another way to look at it."
Now listeners, what's wrong with this sentence to a waiter? "Give me more bread." How would you fix it? Write your softened version in the comments.
And remember, making these mistakes is completely normal. I still catch myself being too direct sometimes, especially when I'm stressed or in a hurry. The important thing is to notice it and learn from it.
Absolutely. Every conversation is a chance to practice. Be patient with yourself. You're learning a whole new way of communicating, and that takes time.
So we've covered 3 common mistakes: being too direct, over-softening, and using the wrong level of softness for the relationship. Now you know what to watch out for.
And now it's time for my favorite part. Interactive practice where we put everything together.
I love this. All right, we're going to do a choose the best response activity. I'll give you a situation and two options. You choose which one sounds friendlier and more natural. Ready?
Let's go. First situation. Your friend is playing music too loud and you need to focus. Option 1. Turn that down. Option 2. Hey, would you mind turning that down just a little? I'm trying to focus.
Definitely option 2. It uses would you mind, just, and a little, and gives a reason. Option 1 sounds like an angry command.
Next situation. You're in a meeting and you disagree with someone's idea. Option 1. I don't think that's a good idea. Option 2. That's an interesting point. I'm just wondering if there might be another approach we could consider.
Option 2 is much more diplomatic. It acknowledges the other person's point first, with that's an interesting point, then gently offers a different view with I'm just wondering.
Now your turn, listeners. You're at a restaurant and your food is too spicy. Option 1. This is too spicy. Take it back. Option 2. I'm sorry. This is a little too spicy for me. Would it be possible to get something milder? Choose and say it out loud.
Great practice. Option 2 is so much more polite. I'm sorry, a little. And would it be possible all work together to soften the request?
Here's a variation. How would you say the same thing if you were talking to a close friend? You might say, "Whoa, this is spicy. Do you have anything milder?" Still polite but much more casual.
One more challenge. Create your own softened version of this direct statement. You're not listening to me. How would you say it kindly? Write your answer in the comments and say it out loud.
And here's my final challenge for you. For the rest of today, try to add one softening word to every request you make in English. Instead of pass the salt, say, could you pass the salt? Instead of, I want coffee, say, I'd like a coffee, please. Small changes, big difference.
That's such a practical challenge. The goal isn't to never be direct again. Directness has its place, but now you have the tools to choose when to be direct and when to soften. You're in control.
Wow, we covered so much today. Let's do a quick summary of everything we learned about sounding friendly in English.
We covered 3 main areas today. First, basic softening words like just, a bit, a little, maybe, and I think. These tiny words make a huge difference in how your message is received.
Second, we talked about softening phrases for making requests and delivering news. I was wondering if, would it be possible, and I'm afraid that. These phrases make you sound diplomatic and respectful.
Third, we explored how to soften opinions and feedback, using phrases like, that's interesting, I'm just wondering, and I'm not sure, and we learned to start with something positive before giving criticism.
We also covered the common mistakes, being too direct, over-softening until your message disappears, and using the wrong level of formality for the relationship.
I'm so proud of everyone who practiced along with us. Remember, softening words are like the oil in an engine. They keep conversations running smoothly. Without them, things can get rough.
That's a great analogy. Every time you soften a request or a disagreement, you're building better relationships. You're showing respect and kindness. And that matters just as much as grammar and vocabulary.
So here's a reflective question for you. Which softening word or phrase from today's episode are you going to try first? Is it a bit? I was wondering. I'm afraid. Tell us in the comments.
Yes, we really want to know. Pick one and try it today. Then come back and tell us how it went. We love hearing your stories.
If you enjoyed this episode, please hit that like button. It helps other English learners find simple English talks. And subscribe if you haven't already. We create new episodes every single week.
Share this episode with someone who's learning English. Practice softening together. Role-play different situations. It's actually really fun.
Thank you so much for spending your time with us today. You're doing amazing work on your English journey. Every episode you listen to, every word you practice, you're getting better and better.
Be proud of yourself. Learning to sound friendly in another language is advanced stuff. And you're doing it. Keep going.
See you next time on Simple English Talks. Bye, everyone.
See you next time.